ever trusted a stranger to drive you home, only to realize too late that something was terribly wrong? Tonight, I'm sharing 3 chilling true stories where innocent rides turned into nightmares. Silent drivers, mysterious detours, and moments where escape meant the difference between life and death. Stay with me as we dive into these terrifying rideshare encounters that you won't forget, if you dare. In the chaos of 2020's pandemic, I found myself driving for a rideshare company to make ends meet after losing my retail job. The nights were long and strange, encounters with all sorts of people, some drunk, some odd, but nothing prepared me for what happened one cold October night. It was just past midnight when my app pinged with a new ride request from a man named Jason. The pickup was at a quiet bowling alley on the edge of town, dark and deserted except for a single street lamp. When I arrived, I saw him standing alone under the light, tall, in a gray hoodie, hands stuffed in his pockets, head down. He didn't wave or smile, just nodded when I called his name. He slid into the back seat silently. I double-checked the address on my screen, a house deep in an isolated neighborhood, surrounded by thick trees and barely any streetlights. As I drove, I stole glances at him through the rearview mirror. His eyes were fixed straight ahead, not on the window or his phone, but seemingly on the back of my head. His voice was quiet, flat, emotionless when he finally spoke. Just needed to get out of there. When I asked where, he only said, "Doesn't matter." The trip was tense and silent. Suddenly, as we neared the address, he asked me to pull into the driveway of a rundown, abandoned-looking house. No lights inside, no car outside, overgrown lawn peeling paint. I hesitated, but obeyed. He got out and disappeared around the side of the house without a word. I sat frozen, the ride technically still active on my app. My gut screamed something was wrong. When he returned moments later, his face twisted into an angry, wild expression. Without waiting for an invitation, he climbed back in, ordering me to take me to the other place. I refused, asking him to put the new destination into the app. He ignored me, just staring silently. We headed back, the silence thicker than before. At the drop-off spot, under that same eerie streetlight, he asked me in a chilling voice, "Have you ever wondered how you're going to die?" I laughed nervously, but he didn't smile. "I think about it all the time," he whispered before stepping out and vanishing into the darkness behind the bowling alley. After the trip ended, I checked the app. The rider's name was gone. No profile, no history. When I reported it, the company said sometimes trip data disappears if a rider cancels or the app crashes. But I know what I experienced was real, and I hope I never cross paths with him again. I'm Ava, 18, living alone in a small apartment about 10 miles outside town. One Friday evening, I was tidying up, getting ready for my boyfriend's weekend visit. I ordered dinner through a food delivery app, telling the driver to leave it at my door, contactless, for safety. When I got the notification that my food was delivered, I rushed to the door but found nothing there. I checked every nearby door and still no food. Just as I was about to message the driver, there was a knock. My neighbor, Mr. Collins, stood there holding my meal. He explained that the delivery driver had been suspicious, peeking through my windows, and he wasn't sure what the man was doing. I thanked him and went back inside, shaken but trying to shake it off. Later that night, after I'd fallen asleep, my dog started growling and barking at the back window. Then pounding on the window woke me. I froze, clutching the sheets over my head, whispering to the police that someone was outside, that my window didn't lock properly. I grabbed a knife from the kitchen, waiting anxiously for the police. When I peeked outside, I saw the same white Honda from the delivery parked across the street in a nearby field. No one was inside, but the footprints in my muddy backyard told a different story. The officers checked the yard, the car, and found nothing, but the footprints confirmed someone had been lurking nearby. My neighbor offered to let me stay over, but I insisted on staying in my apartment, too rattled to leave. At 2 a.m., it was banging on my front door. Police were there, hidden nearby, watching for the man, and they caught him trying to get inside. He was arrested, and finally, I could breathe. Since then, I never use food delivery when I'm home alone. I was 26, visiting Washington, D.C. for my fiancée Emily's graduation from basic training. It was a big deal for her family, and I wanted to be there to support her. We arrived about a week early to spend some time alone before the celebration started. During the day, we explored famous spots, the Lincoln Memorial, the Washington Monument, and even the White House. I loved every minute. I'd missed the chance to visit them in school, so this felt special. After a long day, tired and ready to relax, Emily requested an Uber to take us back to our hotel. She made the request on her phone while I waited under some shade nearby, exhausted from all of the walking. Soon, a gray minivan pulled up alongside the road, not in a parking spot, but just stopping there. Emily signaled it was our ride. She opened the back door and slid in quietly, asking, "Uber for Emily?" The driver just nodded. No greeting, no smile. I followed and closed the door behind me. The driver started moving immediately, still silent. It felt strange. No, hello, or where to. Like I'd expected. 5 minutes into the ride, Emily nudged me. Her face was pale and worried. She showed me the map on her phone. The driver was going the opposite way from our hotel. Suddenly, a notification popped up. "Your Uber has arrived," followed by a message from the real driver asking where we were. My heart sank. This wasn't our driver. My stomach twisted into knots as the van kept moving farther away from our hotel. Emily's face was ghostly pale, her eyes wide with fear, yet neither of us said a word. The silence was suffocating, broken only by the hum of the engine and the pounding of my heart in my ears. I tried to steady my breathing, telling myself to stay calm, but every instinct screamed at me that something was horribly wrong. I had no idea what this man wanted or what he might do if we stayed trapped inside. When I finally spoke, my voice was low but firm. "We changed our minds. Please stop the car. We want to get out here." I tried to sound casual, hoping to avoid provoking him. For a long moment, the driver didn't respond, just stared at me in the rearview mirror with cold, unreadable eyes. I caught the flicker of something sinister behind his gaze. Then, without a word, he kept driving. Panic surged through me. I reached into my pocket and pulled out the small pocket knife I always carried. My fingers trembled as I flipped open the blade, the sharp metal glinting faintly in the dim light. Holding it tight, I stared back at him through the mirror. "I know you're not our Uber driver," I said clearly. "If you don't stop right now, I won't hesitate to use this." The van jerked to the side of the road. The doors unlocked. I didn't waste a second. Grabbing Emily's hand, we bolted out and ran without looking back. The man sped away, disappearing into the night like a nightmare. We called our real Uber driver, who arrived minutes later. He told us that imposters had been targeting tourists in the area, using fake apps and stolen cars to lure unsuspecting victims. Hearing it sent a chill down my spine. We reported everything to the police, but we never heard if he was caught. Sometimes evil hides in the shadows, waiting for the next chance. That night taught me a hard lesson. Never trust a stranger. Always verify your ride and trust your instincts. It could save your life. It was a chilly autumn evening in Portland, and the streets were almost empty. Mia, a recent college graduate, had just finished her late shift at a cozy downtown cafe. The tiredness in her bones made every step heavier, but the thought of her warm apartment kept her moving forward. She pulled her jacket tighter around her and pulled out her phone to order a ride home. Her rideshare app pinged a few seconds later. The car was close. A sleek black sedan rolled up to the curb with quiet precision. Mia scanned the license plate and vehicle details on her phone to make sure it matched. It did. The driver rolled down the window, giving a polite nod without a word. Mia slid into the back seat and buckled her seatbelt, glancing nervously out the window. The first few minutes of the ride felt normal enough. The streets were lit with the warm glow of street lamps, and the hum of the city's nightlife faded behind them. But then something shifted. The driver remained silent, not just quiet, completely withdrawn. His eyes flicked briefly to Mia in the rearview mirror, but then quickly snapped back to the road. No greeting, no small talk. Just cold, empty focus. Mia pulled out her phone to check the route. The app showed the fastest way home, straight down Main Street and a right at Pine. But the sedan veered off onto a narrow side street Mia didn't recognize. The neighborhood grew darker, more rundown. Broken windows stared like hollow eyes, and the street lamps flickered unevenly. A knot twisted in her stomach. "Excuse me," Mia said softly, trying to keep her voice steady. "I think this isn't the right way." No response. She glanced at the driver's profile in the app. The name matched, but the face seemed too blank, like a mask. Suddenly, her phone buzzed with a notification. "Your driver has been delayed." Mia's fingers trembled as she tried to call the rideshare company. No answer. The silence in the car was suffocating. The hum of the engine was the only sound as they crept along the winding road deeper into the unknown. Then the car slowed, pulling into a deserted parking lot behind a crumbling warehouse. Mia's breath hitched. The driver turned his head slightly. "I need you to get out," he said quietly, but his voice lacked any warmth. "Why?" Mia's voice shook. "This isn't my stop." He smiled, thin, cold, like a blade. "You're safe, for now." Before she could react, the door unlocked with a click. The driver stepped out and melted into the shadows. Mia sat frozen, every nerve screaming to run, but fear rooted her in place. After what felt like endless seconds, she willed herself to move and stepped out into the cold air. The parking lot was empty, except for a flickering street lamp casting long, uneven shadows. She began walking toward the main road, hoping for a familiar face or open store. Suddenly, a whisper floated behind her. "You're not supposed to be here." Mia spun around. Nothing. Her heart pounded like a drum. Panic surged. She broke into a run, her footsteps echoing on cracked pavement. Turning the corner, her phone buzzed again. A new notification from the app. "Your driver has arrived." Mia froze. The same black sedan rolled up silently behind her. The door opened slowly, but no one emerged. Her breath caught. She peered inside. The back seat was empty. The driver's seat was empty. A cold dread washed over her. She slammed the door shut, locked it, and leaned back, trembling. The car didn't move. Minutes dragged on. Then headlights appeared in the distance. A police cruiser. Mia waved desperately. Two officers stopped and listened intently as she recounted the entire nightmare. They searched the lot and surrounding streets, but found no sign of the mysterious driver or the black sedan. Later, the officers mentioned several reports of phantom rides, cars appearing on the app, picking up passengers, then vanishing without a trace. Some thought it was a glitch. Others feared something darker. Mia never took a rideshare alone again. At night, she sometimes wonders if the driver was ever really there, or if something else had taken his place.